More than 3 years after the nightmare that left 13 people dead, the man who killed them learns he will die for the crime.
Nidal Hasan, the former Army major and psychiatrist, remained quiet at sentencing. However, victims' family members finally were allowed to break their long silence. KXAN's Chris Sadeghi has more from Fort Hood.
Enough. It's over. Gail Hunt no longer has to drive to Fort Hood, no longer has to see her son's killer, no longer has to listen to that killer's twisted ideas.
Anyone who would use their religion to commit acts of terrorism serves no God except their own hatred and self-interest.
Life or death was the question. Death was the answer. Jolene Cahill says it's the right answer.
And the panel gave him justice, and I agree with that justice.
Her husband, Michael Cahill, died running not away, but towards the barrage of bullets in an attempt to stop it. His daughters say there are two stories that will emerge from this trial. She then had a question for all Americans.
What message will you focus on? What magazine will you buy? The one with murderers on the cover, attacking us like cancer, or the ones with heroes?
Like the heroes that were inside that building. 13 won't ever come back. But they're also not completely gone.
It is the voice of those who stood and those who continue to stand in a true and honorable defense of others.
That the only motive that stood tall when the gavel dropped.
We are tired, we are hurt, but we are resolved. Justice has been served.
It may take years for the appeals process to play out, and the military has not executed anybody in more than half a century. But Hasan served 1,389 days in the Bell County Jail. Now he'll be taken to Fort Leavenworth, Kansas, to sit on death row for the murder of 13 soldiers. We're at Fort Hood. Chris Sadeghi, KXAN News.
The Fort Hood victims and their families have had to face many challenges, even some from the U.S. government. We told you earlier this year the Department of Defense classified the Fort Hood shooting as workplace violence. That designation gave the victims a lower health care priority and also denied monetary compensation since Nidal Hasan's actions were not considered an act of terror. Well, this evening we learned 3 Texas lawmakers will try to change that. On Monday, U.S. Senator John Cornyn, Representative John Carter, and Representative Roger Williams will announce new legislation to ensure victims receive the same honors and benefits given to counterparts serving in combat zones overseas.